Hey y'all, hey, I am here with another video. I am here to give a little quick review, thoughts, recap on Quiet on the Set, which is Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, which is a four-part series that was on the ID Discovery channel. Also, you can stream all four episodes on HBO Max. This is not an ad, this is just me giving context. So, the Quiet on the Set documentary is pretty much surrounding the shows that Dan Snyder, who created a lot of shows for Nickelodeon, and a lot of the things that went on behind the scenes. Now, to be quite honest, the trailer made it seem like Dan Snyder was gonna kind of be like the biggest focus of this show, but he really wasn't. Now, was he an asshole? Yes. Did he do very inappropriate things? Absolutely. Did he foster an environment that was conducive for young children? Absolutely not. But a lot of this was really talking about how a lot of the kids, man. So I'm a 90s baby, right? I'm a 90s baby. And the reason I want to do this video is because everybody that I've seen so far do a review on this, they don't fall in my age bracket. So I'm going to 29, I'm going to be 30 this year. So a lot of the shows that the people that I've seen talk about this are not familiar with a lot of the shows or the people. So, so it's a little hard. They understand the situation, but I don't think it hits them the same way that it maybe hits somebody that's like my age. Now, the first iteration of all that, I was still a little too young to really grasp that. But the second iteration of all that, that had like Amanda on there and stuff like that, that's me. The Amanda Bynes show. Are you, Amanda, please? Like, come on. AmandaPlease.com. 90s baby, stand up. Drake and Josh. I never thought that it'd be so simple, but I found a way, I found a way. If you open up your mind, it's gonna take some time to realize. Like, Drake and Josh is peak for somebody. For my age bracket, Drake and Josh is peak. Hug me, brother. Like, do you know I say this line all the time? Are you calling me a liar? I ain't calling you a truther. Come on. Come on. Come on. Zoe 101. Yeah. I know you see me standing here. Do I look good, my dear? Do I look good today? If you wanna play, come and play today. Let's just get away. Yeah, I will make you see all of the things that you could be. Believe in yourself, just follow me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on, Zoe 101. Victorious, Sam McCat. Now, Victorious and Sam McCat was once I got a tad bit older, so I was a little bit out of the Nickelodeon demographic, but I'm still very much so understanding of those shows and who those people were, right? But I'm setting at the stage, all of that to say is that, man, the saddest part about this was, and somebody said it in this show true, it's like all of the entertainment that I had as a child came by way of somebody being hurt really badly. Like, it makes you look back on those shows a certain way. Do you guys remember back in the day, like the early 2000s, when they had the I think it was called Video Now, but it was kind of like a personal DVD player, but just for kids. And like Nickelodeon, like maybe was one of the few people that actually had like the CDs that you could put in. The first ones that I had was Drake and Josh. I had 3 episodes of that, and I used to watch that on the train from Queens to Brooklyn every weekend. Like, it makes me sad that a lot of our entertainment from as kids, somebody's pain was behind that. So let's talk about some of the things that we talked about. So again, we talked about Dan Snyder and how he got to where he got to and how he came up with all that. All that, if you don't know, it's really like a kid's SNL is the best way to explain it. It's just really, really funny kids who, are all come together as an ensemble cast, do little skits and stuff like that. Really, really funny show. So we have a lot of the girls on there. Now I remember the black girls because if I'm remember the black girls. I remember them, and they just talked about how it was on the set. I love how they talked about, okay, so the one black boy that was on there for 2 seasons, he talked about how Nickelodeon had gave him a lot of like stereotypical black character stuff. So like, he was like they call him Lil Fetus, and he was supposed to be the youngest rapper at the time. He was selling Girl Scout cookies. They was trying to make it seem like he was selling drugs. Like, even then, they was trying to put our babies in certain boxes. And his mama, see, one thing about black mamas, we don't play that. We don't play. And the black mama said, what you're not going to do is have my son in this situation. And she raised hell every time she could when she didn't like stuff, which led to ultimately, you know, them saying that they didn't want him back. And he even talked about how that caused a rift between him and his mother. I could imagine, like, Ma, if you would have just been quiet, if you just wouldn't have said anything, I could have stayed on there, and I could have did this, and I could have did that. But looking back in hindsight, you should be glad that your mama pulled you. Because what was happening on that set afterwards, a hot mess. A hot mess. So let's talk about, I can't say it because this is YouTube, but let's talk about the P words that was on here, okay? I'm not understanding. I don't care if it was the 90s. I don't care. I'm not understanding how you are on a set. You work with children, primarily children. And you're not really auditing and vetting these people? Let's just say that you don't care about the kids. Let's just say that. You don't think from a liability standpoint that it would make sense to check these people so that if something happens, it doesn't fall back on you as the company? They talked about 2 people, well, it was 3 P words in general that was on this show. They briefly talked about the first guy they talked about. I want to make sure because we putting names out here. Let's see. Jason Handy, who was a production assistant, all right? And he was mostly in charge of accompanying the young cast members and their parents around the set. Now, one of the people on there, Brandy, actors, she was emailing back and forth with Jason, and the mom said at first it was really innocent, but then one day she ran into the room crying because Jason sent her a photo of himself naked and playing with his little thing, his disgusting little thingy. And the mom said at the time she did not report it to the police because, you know, she was afraid of what would happen, you know, to her daughter's career. But eventually they did find out about another instance. Oh my gosh. They did find out about another instance of him having inappropriate behavior with a minor. And they said that they found over 10,000 images. That is disgusting, okay? And I don't even know how much time he was. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Now, he actually got more compared to the next person we're going to get into, which is Brian Peck. Okay. Another thing that this really showed me is, like, you know, a lot of times people be like, oh, when something happens, why don't people say anything? Why you don't say anything? And this next story about Brian Peck, who is not related to Josh Peck, I had to look at it, they're not related. But this next story with Brian Peck and Drake Bell is exactly why people don't. Because let's be clear, Brian did all of this stuff to Drake. Drake told, went to court, did all of that. All for this man to get 16 months. And y'all wonder why. Why would I want to put myself through the embarrassment and the hurtfulness of a trial, having explained what happened to me in excruciating detail, as Drake said, again, and again, for this man to go to jail for 16 months, a year and some change, and I bet you he got out on good behavior. But then people want to wonder why nobody has anything to say, because realistically, I'm still going to be going through the trauma, and this person's going to do a year in jail, if that. Let's talk about Brian Peck. So at the end of one of the episodes, they talk about how Brian, who was the pickle man on Amanda's show, if y'all remember that part, and how a lawsuit had came out accusing him of doing some things to minors. And when they list the parties, it said a child actor. But no one ever knew who that person was. Never knew. And everybody, they interviewed everybody. Everybody's like, we don't know. And up at the very end of that episode comes Drake Bell. Bay. Y'all, Drake. Not Aubrey Drake Graham. We're talking about before that. Drake Bell. Huge. Big. Huge. Drake and Josh was probably the biggest show for Nickelodeon at that time. The reason why shows like iCarly and stuff even worked is because, as y'all know, iCarly, Miranda Cosgrove, came from Drake and Josh. She played the little sister on Drake and Josh. They were able, because she was so great, Meg, literally the best part of that show, they were able to take her and give her own show, iCarly. That's how we get Sam to come in the picture. Then we have Victorious, which has, Ariana Grande and some other people, and that's how we got the Sam Cat. But Drake and Josh is literally it's the start point for all of that. It's really the start point. It's even kind of a start point for why we even get a Zoe one-on-one and things like that down the line. And we'll get back to Amanda in a second. Don't worry, we're gonna get to her in a second. We'll go back to her. But Drake had a relationship, or had a relationship with Brian Peck, who was an acting coach, and that whole story, the way it played out, was really wild. His father, Drake's father, I believe his name was Joe, was very much so around, was the main person taking care of him and things like that, and he could tell that something was off about that man. Something was off. He didn't know what it was, but he brought it up plenty of times, and people kept telling him, oh, don't worry about it, or oh, he's gay, and which gave a lot of people I saw online something to say, but that's neither here nor there. And it got to the point where Brian was able to get in the ear of a very, 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 very young Drake at the time, who was also on the Amanda show, and get in his ear and pretty much try to tell him, like, oh, your father is stealing from you. Your father don't want you to do this. The reason you're not getting these roles, the reason you're not getting this, and that is because of your father. And when you're a young child like that, you're very impressionable. And I don't know where Drake's mom was, but clearly she wasn't the most active parent. And he was able to actually drive a wedge between Drake and his father. Drake ends up going to stay with his mother. And, it got to the point where Drake was like, he didn't want his dad to be his manager anymore. And to see that man cry hurt my heart. Then once his dad stopped being his manager, that's when Brian pretty much came full-fledged into Drake's life. He was taking him to auditions and helping him with his money and all this other stuff. So it went from, oh, I'm going to pick you up an hour and a half away, from where all of the auditions are, and we're going to go, to, oh, well, it's an hour and a half drive, so you can stay at my house. It started there. And Drake said one of the nights he stayed there, he woke up, and that man was doing some inappropriate things to him. And that's kind of how it started. Terrible. Mind you, this is all before the Drake and Josh show. This is all before that. This is all before that show. And so he couldn't even, you could tell how uncomfortable he was even talking about it. He couldn't talk about it. He even said, I haven't talked to anybody outside of my therapist about this. And he never gave us details. And I said that was okay. I know the people wanted to kind of get more details, but I didn't even feel comfortable hearing whatever it is because he didn't seem comfortable. So when he was like, I don't really know, I'm like, we don't need to know. It's good enough. We got it. And then they showed some of the allegations, like they flashed it on the screen. That was more than enough. I didn't need to know anything else. So this man is just completely taking advantage of him. He ends up getting a girlfriend. He's over at his girlfriend's house, and Brian is blowing Drake up, blowing his phone up. Call him. He's not picking up. This man is so insane that he calls his girlfriend's house again and 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 again till Drake picks up, and he's like, oh, hey, I know I was supposed to meet up with you, but I can't, blah, 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 blah. His girlfriend's mom, God bless her, bless that woman, whoever she is, pulled him to the side and said, what's happening here? Which to me shows how little his mom was actually involved. And I would love to know more about his mom, because the fact that she was able to pick up on that so fast, because like she said, he was like, oh, there's nothing. And she said, don't know 40-year-old man call like that about a young boy your age to hang out. Some of the milk not clean. So he calls his mom. She calls his mom. Goes to therapy. He says, oh, it was just some weird stuff, but he doesn't admit what happens. And then he says one day he was on the phone with his mom and it just all came out. He told her everything that happened. He don't know why, but he just cracked and he told her. His mom calls the police. They come and get Brian. And this is the sick part, right? That when everything had came out, right, and it just said child actor, Drake said he got a call from Dan Schneider saying, was it you? And Drake said because that's how obvious it was. So my thing is, Dan, back to Mr. Dan Schneider. If you could tell that something was off even a little bit, why didn't you shut it down immediately? The fact that you knew out of all of those child actors that you had, you knew that it was Drake. That means that you was aware of something. And the fact that you let it go on and you didn't check it and you didn't address it, you're just as culpable in my opinion. If I even have an inkling that I think something is going on, you are fired. You gotta go. You gotta go. So all of that, and that man did unthinkable things to that young man, and he only got 16 months. Mind you, because he was so well known in the industry, he had all of these people write all of these letters for him. Alan Thicke, rest in peace, but Alan Thicke, a lot of other people's names that they flashed up there talking about, oh, he must have been pressured into it. He's 40 something years old, and Drake at the time was a teenager. But he was pressured into doing stuff with him. All of y'all are trash. All of those people who wrote all of those, y'all are trash. And Drake talked about how when he went into that courtroom, how Brian's side was full to the brim, and his side was just him and his parents and his brother. Y'all are disgusting in Hollywood. Disgusting. Disgusting. Y'all are nasty. Okay? And let me put it out there. Drake Bell was charged with some inappropriate things, okay, about him sending inappropriate pictures to a young person. Now, I did my due diligence to look into that case. It's not as cut and dry as maybe the headlines made it seem. He absolutely was wrong, and he absolutely deserved what he got. But it wasn't as cut and dry as it just being, oh, he sent his stuff to an underage person. That's not exactly how the story went. The girl, I believe, did not tell the truth about her age. There was some pictures that she sent that I believe was not very representative of herself. And his lawyer made it very clear, and it said in the court documents, he did not touch that girl. He did not have interaction with that girl. He never met that girl, from my understanding is everything. He sent some inappropriate pictures, which is not okay. Let's be clear. Not okay. Not okay. And I don't think, and people were saying that they felt like this was trying to give him like some type of redemption. I don't think that's what it was at all. I think the same way the Surviving R. Kelly doc gave background on the fact that R. Kelly was, on as a child, could have contributed to why he does the things. As we all know, it's a big circle. The cycle of abuse does not stop. It's a cycle. It's a cycle for a reason. So I don't think that this show was to give Drake any type of redemption or anything like that. I think it was to show the story of what happens. And again, as a kid that grew up, and let's go on to Amanda. Amanda Bynes' story makes me want to cry, real tears. If that's what Drake went through, I cannot imagine. I could not imagine the stuff that Amanda Bynes went through. It looks like now she's a little bit more healthier. It looks like she, is kind of regulated. She kind of got her mental together a little bit more. Now, she doesn't look the same at all, but I think that's on purpose. I think she would like to distance herself as much as possible. And when they talked about the fact that Amanda Bynes was on top of the world, they're not lying. Do you know how many times I watched What a Girl Wants? Do you know how much What I Like About You? Y'all unlocked a good memory. The WB, baby. What I Like About You was my show. That was my fucking show. I watched it every time it came on. Her and her sister, not like her actual sister, but her sister on the show, life. Gave me life. Amanda Bynes was that girl. And the way that y'all broke her, y'all broke that girl. I am disgusted because she was a national treasure. And she could have been, and she was out of here. Like she was that girl. It makes me sad to see what happened to Amanda Bynes. What y'all did to that woman. Disgusting. I am disgusted. Ugh. So disgusted. But, you know, there was always a lot of funny stuff going on over there. They talked about the inappropriate. So let's get on to Dan for a second. They talked about a lot of the inappropriate stuff. There was, looking back now, like somebody played that popcorn. I saw it on Twitter. The skit with the popcorn pants from the Amanda show. Again, an unlocked memory. I remember that skit like it was yesterday. And because you're a kid, you don't really put two and two together. As an adult, that skit is disgusting. Why is it every time it seems like there's something squirting on a girl's face? That's disgusting. Y'all are making, like they said, sexual innuendos on children's shows. Let's be very clear. My mom loved Drake and Josh. That's her show. But was she really sitting down watching it with me? No, not like that. But she's very familiar with the shows because she liked the theme song a lot. Zoe 101, yes, she's aware of the show because I watched it. But was it a show she was sitting down watching with me? No. It's not like SpongeBob or something. And even SpongeBob has little innuendos like the one part of SpongeBob when SpongeBob was watching TV with the little coral on TV, and then Gary came in. He was like, "Oh my gosh, Gary, I didn't see you there." Like, even that's inappropriate. But I didn't catch that till I was a much, much, much older adult. But I feel like SpongeBob does a good job of towing the line. And to be quite honest, adults legitimately do watch SpongeBob. Like, my mom is 40-something and my mom watches SpongeBob. Those videos that they showed with Ariana Grande playing this cat, disgusting. Disgusting. I hate all of y'all. And it makes me mad, like I said, that all of these, like I said, that my daggone childhood, as far as like my entertainment, was wrapped up in such disgust. And I'm pretty sure that's like most things, but it doesn't make me feel good. As somebody who actively watched all of those shows, and that time of Nickelodeon that they were talking about, that's my generation. That's my age record. That's the shit that we was watching. Disgusted. I love the Zoe 101, baby. When I used to, this is a side tangent, when I used to hear boarding schools, right, I always thought of like military. But when Zoe 101 came out, it was like, bitch, if that's how boarding schools is, I want to go. And then it wasn't until I got older that I realized, oh, that's rich boarding schools. That ain't like a regular, that's rich boarding schools. But I would love to go to that school. Are you serious? Zoe 101? Yes, ma'am. That was my show. That was my show. And like I said, Victorious. We also talk about Jeanette McCarty, who played Lord God, who played Sam on Sam and Cat, and was also she comes from iCarly. They talked about iCarly and the boom of iCarly. iCarly really was a big deal, to be honest, because it was one of the first like shows for kids that truly acknowledged the internet. At the time, the internet was starting, like YouTube and stuff was starting to really be a big thing. And so it was the first show to really capture that, like, nah, this is the wave. The wave is this. Kids, YouTube, online shows, that is what the next wave is. And they were absolutely right. And that's why that show did so great. That's why that show did great. Love that show. Love that. And iCarly came out maybe by the time I was like maybe 14 or 15, but I still love that show, even being like a teenager. And it was technically, I was probably a tiny bit out of their thing. Oh, hold on. Let's back up to Brian for a second. Brian Peck, not only did he get 16 months, but this man was still able to go on and help and make The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, which is another iconic piece of television as far as kids is concerned. Disney Channel, shout out to Zack and Cody. I'm disgusted. I'm just disgusted. Y'all don't care. Y'all don't care about children. Y'all don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Y'all don't care. I hope and I pray that things like this, especially in those instances and in those spaces, we can do a better job of vetting. Now, we're not going to catch everyone, unfortunately. However, we need to do a better job. Nick, Disney, Cartoon Network, let's do a better job of not making innuendos on children's programming. And stop taking your nasty fantasies and projecting them on children like weirdos. You want to do that? Do it somewhere else. But you want to know what, Mr. Dan? You could never cut it to actually do an adult show. That's why. You make children, yes, you do great with children's shows because you are a child. But you're a grown man. Don't ever forget that. Just because, no, let me switch that. Just because you make children's shows, that does not mean that you're a child. You're a grown man, and the things that you do are disgusting. Get this man out of my face. But all of that to say is, as a 90s baby who consumed all of those shows, peak, okay? Drake and Josh came out when I was 10. So I was their prime demo. You hit me. You hit your demo target with me, at least. I am saddened by the fact that a lot of that entertainment, the Amanda Show, all that, Drake and Josh. I didn't even talk about Jeanette. Jeanette from Sam and Cat talked about how inappropriate Dan Snyder made her, or a lot of the inappropriate things that Dan Snyder did to her. And, just the things that she had to go through. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad. I really would like to know what the hell went over there at Disney. Because y'all know Disney runs a tight ship over there. Y'all think Nickelodeon... They said that Nick was very lenient. I believe that. Because you can tell the difference between Disney and Nick. Nick, I could tell they was a little bit more lenient. Disney? I can't wait for that doc to come out. Because Disney do not play. They don't play no games. None. It's like a straight military over there. But I'm disgusted. That's all I got. But y'all get in the comments. Tell me what y'all think. I'm out. Bye.